David Cameron spat his dummy out and resigned as Prime Minister following the Brexit vote, but now he wants back in. Following the Brexit vote back in 2016, David Cameron stepped down as Prime Minister. I mean, it's fairly common, to be fair, for Prime Ministers to step down when something goes spectacularly wrong. But many people thought he shouldn't have stepped down, but he did. He resigned from his position as Prime Minister and promised to go back to the backbenches in Parliament. But on the 12th of September 2016, he stepped down from Parliament altogether. And ever since then, he's taken on roles as President of the Alzheimer's Research UK organisation. He's also been the chair of the Board of Patrons for the National Citizens Service. Now, politicians always seem to go on to fulfil roles that don't seem relevant to their past experience. Nick Clegg, former Deputy Prime Minister under David Cameron, is a good example of that. He's moving over to the United States to Facebook. How that works, I don't know. But anyway, there's reports now that David Cameron is, quote, bored shitless, and that he's mulling over a return to politics. And he wants to actually return back to the cabinet. The Daily Mail reports on this, and they say, the former Prime Minister is said to be hoping for a return to frontline politics, potentially as Foreign Secretary, after Theresa May is replaced as leader. But the rumour drew ridicule and bafflement from MPs, with some accusing him of a sense of entitlement and others jibing that he has done enough damage. Former cabinet colleague Ian Duncan Smith said it would be peculiar if Mr Cameron tried to make a comeback and said he was still pretty unhappy. He had abruptly resigned from number 10 after losing the referendum. The reaction on social media was also vicious, with users saying he had screwed the country enough and should get an allotment instead. Here's the thing, nobody's going to want David Cameron back. The Remainers certainly won't want him because they think he screwed the country by actually offering and delivering that referendum in the first place. And the only reason he gave us that referendum, by the way, is because he was absolutely convinced that the Brexit side would lose and that Brexit as an issue would be finished for decades and that UKIP would stop stealing Tory votes in general elections. And the Brexiteers aren't going to want David Cameron because he's a Remainer. He spent millions of pounds on propaganda from the government sent to every single household telling them to vote Remain. And many people see him as abandoning us during a time when maybe he could have actually shone. He could have been the Remain Prime Minister who said, you know what, hands up, I lost, you won. It's time for me to deliver the results of Brexit, the referendum, rather than just resigning and then handing us Theresa May. I see absolutely no way of David Cameron's return to politics as popular. But a source close to David Cameron has told the press that he wouldn't rule out going back to Westminster if a new Tory leader asked him. Maybe his old mate Boris. It would have to wait until next spring though, because Cameron's actually releasing his memoirs, which is expected to settle some old scores with some old friends, including Michael Gove, former friend, and Boris Johnson, both Brexiteers. Now, what do you think about this? Do you think Cameron should be coming back into politics? I mean, he's, 52 now? That's prime politician age. He's younger than the current Prime Minister. Would you let him back? Do you think he's welcome, or do you think he'd be better off staying out of politics for good? Let us know in the comments. If you want to see more from me and the rest of the Rebel team, be sure to download our new app from the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store.